Welcome to Honeybee. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Real stories of love, lies, and betrayal, where every truth stings. Let's begin. It was supposed to be one of the happiest nights of my life. I had planned everything down to the smallest detail. The lights, the music, the crowd, and the ring that had been burning a hole in my pocket for weeks. My girlfriend, Emma, had been talking about this party for days. It was her best friend Lily's birthday, and she was excited to finally introduce me to her full group of friends. I thought it was a perfect opportunity, the right place, the right time, surrounded by the people she loved. I imagined the look on her face when I knelt down, the sparkle in her eyes, the tears, and the laughter. I saw us celebrating together, and for the first time, I believed I was about to give her something truly unforgettable. But I had no idea that the night would end with words that would echo in my mind for months. I'd rather stay single. The evening started beautifully. The party was held at an upscale rooftop lounge overlooking the city. The air was warm, filled with laughter, the clinking of glasses, and music that made everything feel alive. Emma looked stunning in her dark blue dress, her hair falling softly over her shoulders. She was radiant, and for a moment, I forgot about everyone else. We mingled, laughed, and shared jokes with her friends. I could tell they adored her. She had that charm, that effortless way of making everyone feel comfortable. I stood quietly beside her, proud to be the man she called hers. "Come on, you have to dance," she laughed, pulling me toward the dance floor. I wasn't much of a dancer, but she didn't care. She just wanted to have fun. The way she looked at me when we danced, I thought that was love. Throughout the evening, her friends teased us. "When are you two getting married?" Someone shouted over the music, making her blush. I smiled, taking that as my sign. I had been waiting for months to propose. We had been together for 3 years, and though we had our ups and downs, I believe we were strong. She had stood by me when my business failed. She had comforted me when I lost my father. She had been my anchor. So that night, surrounded by the city lights and her laughter, I decided it was time. Around midnight, as the music softened and people gathered for a toast, I quietly signaled the DJ. The lights dimmed slightly and a soft melody began to play, the same song that was playing on our first date. Emma turned, looking around in surprise. "Wait, what's going on?" she asked, smiling curiously. My heart pounded so hard I could barely speak. I walked toward her, and suddenly the crowd parted, forming a loose circle around us. Her friends started whispering and gasping as they realized what was about to happen. I reached into my pocket and pulled out the small velvet box. My hands trembled as I went down on one knee. The world seemed to slow down. All the noise faded. All I could see was her. "Emma," I began softly, my voice shaking slightly. "These past 3 years have been the best of my life. You've been my strength, my laughter, my peace. I can't imagine a future without you. So, tonight, I want to ask you something that I wanted to ask for a long time." I opened the box, revealing the ring that I had saved months for. "Will you marry me?" The crowd went silent. Cameras came out. People were holding their breath. But Emma's expression wasn't what I expected. Her smile faltered. Her eyes widened, not in joy, but in shock. Then, slowly, she looked around at her friends, almost embarrassed. "Oh, wow," she said softly, then let out a nervous laugh. "This is unexpected." The laughter around us faded. I was still kneeling, my heart thudding painfully in my chest, waiting for her answer. She hesitated, glancing from me to the crowd. I don't think I'm ready for that, Jake." Her tone was uneasy, her hands fidgeting. Then, before I could even respond, she added with a forced smile, "Honestly, I'd rather stay single for now. I'm not looking for marriage." Her words cut through the air like a blade. Laughter broke out awkwardly among her friends, the kind of nervous laughter people use to escape tension. My chest tightened, my throat went dry, and the ring in my hand suddenly felt heavier than lead. I stood up slowly, forcing a faint smile to hide the pain clawing at my chest. "Oh, I see," I said softly, though my voice cracked. I didn't mean to make things awkward. She reached for my hand, whispering, "Jake, I'm sorry. I just didn't expect this." Can we talk later? I nodded numbly, slipping the ring box back into my pocket. Around us, the music started again, and her friends pretended to go back to their conversations, though I could feel their eyes on me. Every smile felt like pity. Every whisper felt like a knife. Emma tried to act normal, laughing with her friends again, but I could see the tension in her posture. She didn't want to look at me. I stood near the bar, staring at my drink, trying to hold myself together. Lily, her best friend, approached me quietly. "Hey, I didn't see that coming," she said softly. "I'm sorry, Jake. Emma can be unpredictable." I nodded weakly. "Yeah, guess I learned that tonight." She gave me a sympathetic smile before walking away, leaving me alone with my thoughts. As the night went on, I felt completely out of place. Emma barely spoke to me. She stayed close to her friends, laughing, drinking, acting as if nothing had happened. At one point, I caught her saying to a friend, "I just don't want to be tied down right now. Marriage feels heavy." Tied down. Those words echoed in my head over and over. All this time, I thought we were moving towards something real, something permanent. I thought we both wanted the same thing. But maybe I was wrong. I stayed a bit longer, pretending everything was fine, but inside, I was falling apart. I smiled when people looked my way, laughed at small jokes, but my chest felt hollow. When I finally decided to leave, she didn't even notice at first. I walked over to her, my voice barely steady. "Emma, I'm heading home." She turned, looking surprised. "Already? The night's still young." I forced a faint smile. "Yeah, I think I've had enough for tonight." She hesitated, then said softly, "Jake, please don't be upset. I just wasn't expecting that. You know I care about you." "Yeah," I said quietly, "I know." But deep down, I wasn't sure I did anymore. When I left the party, the night air hit me hard, cold, sharp, almost punishing. I walked to my car, my steps heavy, my mind replaying the scene again and again. The music, the gasps, her nervous laugh, the pity in everyone's eyes, all of it burned into my memory. I sat in the car for a while, staring at the city lights. I had imagined this moment so differently. I thought it would be the start of a new chapter, not the end of one. The ring sat in my hand, glimmering faintly under the streetlight. I wanted to throw it away, but I couldn't. I just held it tightly, my knuckles turning white. I had never felt humiliation like that before, not because she said no, but because of how she said it, in front of everyone. Like marriage was a joke, like I was someone trying too hard to be taken seriously. It wasn't just rejection, it was public rejection, and it broke something inside me. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept staring at my phone, waiting for her message, maybe an apology, maybe an explanation. But nothing came. The next morning, I finally got a text. "Hey, Jake, I'm really sorry about last night. I didn't mean to hurt you. Can we talk later?" I stared at it for a long time. Part of me wanted to ignore it, but another part of me, the part still in love, couldn't. I replied simply, "Yeah, let's talk." I didn't know what I would say when I saw her again. I didn't know if I was angry, heartbroken, or just tired. But I did know one thing. Something inside me had shifted. That night at the party changed everything. The next morning felt like a long, silent punishment. I barely slept. My mind kept looping through every second of that night. The dim lights, the sudden stillness of the crowd, her voice saying, "I'd rather stay single." It was all still raw, as if it had just happened. I dragged myself out of bed, poured coffee I couldn't taste, and stared at my phone screen for what felt like hours. Her message blinked at me again. "Can we talk later?" I typed, "Sure." "Where?" and set the phone aside. She suggested meeting at our usual cafe, the small corner place we often went on Sunday mornings. The irony didn't escape me. It used to be our spot, where we'd laugh over burnt toast and argue playfully about who made better coffee. Now, I was walking there with a pit in my stomach, preparing to dissect the wreckage of what was once a dream. When I arrived, she was already there. Emma sat by the window, a half-finished cappuccino in front of her. She looked up the moment I walked in, her eyes soft but anxious. There were faint shadows under them. Maybe she hadn't slept much either. "Hey," she said quietly. "Hey," I replied, taking a seat opposite her. The silence that followed was unbearable. Usually, our conversations flowed easily. This time, it felt like walking barefoot on broken glass. I could see her struggling for words, and part of me wanted to help her, but another part, the part still bleeding, stayed silent. Finally, she spoke. "Jake, about last night. I didn't mean to embarrass you. I was just caught off guard. You surprised me. I thought that was a point," I said, trying to smile, though my voice sounded flat even to me. She sighed, twisting the coffee cup between her palms. "I know how it looked. I should have handled it differently. But marriage, it's not something I'm ready for. I don't even know if I want to get married, at least not right now." Her words were soft, careful, but they still hit hard. I nodded slowly. "I get that. But, Emma, we've been together 3 years. We talk about a future, about kids, about where we'd live someday. I didn't pull that out of thin air." "I know," she said quickly, guilt flickering in her eyes. "But things change. I've been thinking a lot lately. My career is finally moving forward, and honestly, I like my independence. I like being able to focus on me for once." "So I'm what? A distraction?" I asked quietly. "No, not at all," she said quickly, leaning forward. "Jake, I love you, but I'm not ready to give up who I am for anyone, not even for you." Her words stung more than she realized. "Who said marriage means giving up who you are?" I asked. "I never wanted to take that away from you. I just wanted to build something together." She looked down, as if searching for answers in her coffee. "I know, but I don't think we're on the same page anymore." There was the unspoken truth. We weren't just talking about last night's embarrassment. We were talking about the end. I leaned back, exhaling slowly. "You could have told me this before I made a fool of myself in front of everyone." Her eyes glistened. "You're right. I should have. I didn't mean to humiliate you, Jake." I froze. I panicked. I wasn't thinking about the crowd or how you feel. I just reacted. I wanted to be angry. I wanted to yell, to ask her why she led me to believe we were heading towards something serious. But seeing her sitting there, nervous, guilty, fragile, drained all the anger out of me. All that was left was sadness. "Do you even see a future with me?" I asked quietly. She hesitated. That hesitation told me everything I needed to know. I don't know," she whispered finally. "I thought I did, but lately I've been questioning everything. My job, my goals, even us. Maybe I need time to figure out who I am." I looked out the window, watching people walk by, living lives that suddenly felt simpler than mine. For 3 years, I thought she was my forever. Now, I was sitting across from someone who wasn't even sure if she wanted me and her tomorrow. We sat in silence for a long while. The noise of the cafe, the clatter of cups, the hum of conversation, felt like background noise to a moment that was quietly breaking me apart. Finally, I said softly, "You know, last night wasn't about showing off or forcing you into something. It was about telling you that I wanted you to be my partner in everything. I thought we wanted that together." She wiped at her eyes quickly. "I know, and you deserve someone who does want that, someone who's ready." That sentence was like a quiet goodbye wrapped in politeness. I swallowed hard. "So, what are we doing, Emma? Are we done?" She looked down, unable to meet my eyes. "I think we both need space. Maybe it's time to let each other grow separately." Her voice trembled at the end, and for a second, I almost believed she was as heartbroken as I was. But I also knew that sometimes people cry not because they want to stay, but because they hate hurting someone they've already decided to leave. We didn't hug. We didn't fight. We just sat there until there was nothing left to say. When I finally stood up, she whispered, "I'm sorry, Jake, for everything." I nodded, forcing a small smile. "Take care of yourself." Then I walked out, not angrily, not dramatically, just quietly, and sometimes quiet endings hurt more than loud ones. The days that followed were a blur. I went to work, came home, pretended to function. Everyone at the office could tell something was wrong. I kept my phone face down, half expecting her name to pop up again, but it never did. Her friends, who were at the party that night, stopped reaching out. The humiliation lingered in small ways. Whispers, awkward smiles when we crossed paths in public. For a long time, I replayed every moment of our relationship, the road trips, the late-night talks, the promises we made. It was hard not to wonder, was it all real for her? Or was she always halfway out the door, waiting for an excuse to leave? But as the weeks passed, something unexpected began to happen. The pain started to dull. I began seeing things differently. Maybe her rejection wasn't just a loss. Maybe it was clarity. Maybe I was holding on to an idea of love that she never truly shared. A few months later, I went back to that same rooftop lounge, the place where I proposed. Not for a party this time, but just to see the city again. The air was cool, the skyline glowing faintly under the night sky. I leaned against the railing and smiled faintly to myself. That night had broken me, yes, but it also woke me up. It forced me to see that love isn't always about timing or gestures. Sometimes it's about alignment. Two hearts want the same thing at the same time. Emma wasn't wrong for being honest. She just wasn't mine to keep. I reached into my pocket and pulled out the small velvet box one last time. The ring still sparkled softly under the city lights. For months, I couldn't even look at it without feeling the weight of that night. But now, it just felt like a closed chapter, a reminder of what I'd been willing to give. I took a deep breath and whispered, "Thank you for teaching me what I deserve," before setting the box down gently on the ledge. I didn't throw it away. I just left it there, as if leaving behind the last trace of what once was. Time passed. I focused on work, reconnected with old friends, and started rebuilding the pieces of myself I had lost in that relationship. For the first time in years, I didn't feel like I was waiting for someone to complete me. One afternoon, months later, I ran into Lily, Emma's friend, at a bookstore. We exchanged awkward smiles before she finally said, "Jake, I wanted to tell you, Emma's moving abroad. New job. She said she hopes you're doing okay." I nodded, smiling faintly. "I am. Tell her I wish her the best." Lily paused, studying me. "You really cared about her, didn't you?" "Yeah," I said softly. "But sometimes caring means letting go." That night, as I drove home, I thought about everything that had happened. The proposal, the rejection, the heartbreak. All of it had felt like the end of my world once. But now, it just felt like a necessary part of my story. A painful lesson wrapped in heartbreak, teaching me the value of self-respect and timing. If she wasn't ready, no amount of love from me could make her be. If I was ready, no amount of hesitation from her should have stopped me from moving forward in life. I learned that night that love isn't just about grand gestures or lifelong promises. It's also about honesty, even when it hurts. And though her words, "I'd rather stay single," had once shattered me, I realize now that she did me a strange kind of kindness. She showed me the truth before we built a future on different dreams. I don't know where Emma is now. Maybe she found what she was searching for. Maybe she's still searching. As for me, I found something better: peace. I learned to be comfortable in my own company again, to laugh without pretending, to love without begging for it to be returned. That night at the rooftop wasn't the end of my story. It was the beginning of a new one where I didn't need anyone's approval to feel whole. And if I ever find love again, it won't be about proving I'm worthy of it. It'll be about sharing it with someone who already knows that I am.